And this is another thing. It's like these school incidents, there's landings at schools. Like, holy smokes. Like, wow. You start looking into it, there's a lot of them.
Right.
I mean, I covered the 1966 Westall UFO incident. Shane Ryan, thank you if you're listening for helping expose that one. But there were 360 plus kids outside.
Where was this?
What is Australia?
Okay.
Right outside Melbourne, 1966, April 4th, I believe, or 6th, 5th, 6th. 360 plus people, including the science professor, the teachers, and all watching this disc-shaped object dart around in the sky over the school, Westall Primary School, and then it lands. And a handful of the kids, I interviewed them, ran over to where this thing landed and stood there in broad daylight with this disc on the ground, like, what is this thing? Like, right there, like almost walk over and touch it, and then it lifted back up again, turned on its side, and shot off at an extremely high rate. And there's a guy named James Kibble that took a photograph, a Polaroid of it, probably the same object, just a few kilometers away, either day before or 2 days before, or I think it was maybe 2 days prior. That it's also in the phenomenon. So, you know, I don't know. I mean, if I were trying to establish some level of communication, children are pretty benign.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I know our military generally shoots first and asks questions later. So, like, if I were, and I'm just speculating, but if I were to make any kind of peaceful contact, I probably would land at a school too.
Right.
Because you get shot up landing anywhere else.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You might get a slingshot or something at a school.
Yeah, you might get a slingshot.
A kickball in the window, but you can live.
Like, yeah.
Was there contact in that case? Like, was there
no.
any type of communication?
Well, when I was there, I went on a big radio show in Australia talking about that case, and so one person called in and it's like, oh, there was an entity outside, but that's the only account. No, generally speaking, no, that was not contact. But landing.
Interesting.
And a good one too. I mean, you know, can you imagine? And of course, the men in black or the men in suits showed up on that case and threatened the science teacher who just passed, Mr. Greenwood. And I got Greenwood to come forward for the first time in history in the phenomenon. And then subsequently to that, Ross Coulthart did an interview with him. And thank God, because he's no longer with us. But he said, yeah, they came and threatened him big time.
In what way? Do you
just keep your mouth shut? If you want to keep your job, we're going to destroy you. Like, we're going to say you're drunk, you're drinking with all the above. Just threatened him, and he didn't talk for 50 years.
Wow,
50 years.
And these are American men in black guys.
Sometimes, like for instance, with Virginia, there were a Brazilian-speaking person with two other foreigners that they assumed were Americans that didn't open their mouths, and so. But it would probably be at the direction of the American. I mean, they certainly, you know, are in control of the situation much more than, I mean, an exception with China and Russia, but the Americans pretty much dominate the global. The reason why I know this is because I've interviewed people from Tehran, I've interviewed people in Africa, I've been South, all over the world. I can give countless cases, and I'm like, Americans again?
Yeah.
Like, what? How did you even hear about it? Like Tehran, Iran was in 1975 with General Parviz Jafari, told me. I flew him into Washington, D.C. to testify at the National Press Club back in 2007. And he was like, yeah, and then the Americans showed up the next morning. And the sighting happened like 2 a.m. Wow. How did they hear about that so quickly? How did they get there? Like, what were they doing? Americans?
What do you make of that? Like, I mean, granted, Tehran in 75, it's like pre-revolution, so it's probably easier to go.
Well, yeah, but they were also in Belgium in 89. I interviewed the Belgian general, General de Brouwer, Air Force general in Belgium. And he's like, oh, yes. And then, you know, the Americans showed up and they wanted the radar reports, the radar tapes. And he's like, okay, well, give me an official request and I'll give you copies. They wouldn't do that because there's a paper trail.
Interesting.
But it was like, oh, they're investigating that case too. Like, they're there.
What would happen?
Bentwaters, England, 1980. I interviewed the deputy base commander, Colonel Charles Halt. I also interviewed the general on the base. And he's like, yeah, this plane flew in, American plane flew in, sanitized, exposed the witnesses to sodium pentothal.
What is that?
It's some kind of truth serum. And the deputy base commander was like, I don't know what the hell this plane came in. They had control of the situation. They screwed with my men. They did, you know, took whatever evidence they had, the landing print, like, evidently they took photographs. Those were gone. Like, oh, they didn't turn out. But so there's they have a global footprint.
A truth serum. Have you looked into that before?
Well, I was just telling you what was told to me by the guy that was there. He just said that his men were given this truth serum, I guess, trying to find out what they really saw. I don't know.
Have you ever looked into this substance? But you said it was sodium.
Sodium pentothal is what I heard. Yeah.
And have you ever looked into that?
No.
It seems like a wild thing.
Yeah. What does it say?
Well known in pop culture under the name sodium pentothal truth serum. Efficacy is questioned.
Truth serum.
Wow. I've never even heard of that.
Yeah. That's what Colonel Charles Hall told me. Yeah.
We should try some of that. Get some of that on the pod. Creepiest, run to the corner store.
Like, don't believe in UFOs. It's all nonsense, okay?
Get some sodium pentothal here immediately. We're going to be ripping lines, dude.